Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Real Talk Live. I'm your host Krypton Case, and I'm joined here today by my co-host the Viking. How are you doing, man?
What's up? What's up? All good, yeah. Got loads of DC topics to talk about today. A brand new Netflix show that's come back, and some Matrix is coming out later this year.
Yeah, let's get right into it. But before that, let me introduce you to our guest tonight, and we are joined today by the very talented and I love his art, and his name is Aaron Bailey.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Glad to be on the show.
Glad to have you, man.
Yeah, man, awesome. I got to see. Was it you that drew the picture earlier? I was just going through Twitter real quick. Was it one of Lex Luthor and Doctor Poison? Or what's that
Oh
character
yeah,
again?
Maru. Yeah, that was me.
Did
That
you?
was me.
Awesome. It's kind of what was going to happen in the later Justice League movies. Well, kind of. It's that got to do his thing where he goes
Yeah,
and
just a little.
meets her in the forest or something like that, or the jungle.
Yeah, just a little visualization of that because I really want to see what that would look like. Honestly.
Yeah. Well, it's no harm putting it out into the universe. You never know. We might get to see it someday.
Never know, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so glad to have you here, and we'll quickly jump on to the first topic of today, which is Black Summer. Now, this is a show I've heard of quite a bit, and it has to do with zombies. That's all I know. I've never seen any trailers or anything besides that. But Maher, you have messaged me today saying how awesome it is, and
Yeah.
so go ahead and tell everyone your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So Black Summer season 2 just dropped yesterday on Netflix, and I really liked the first season. And look, it's a zombie show, so I'm really big into zombies and stuff like that. So I'm going to watch it anyway, and I'm probably going to like it. And season 1 was a good watch. It was interesting. It was kind of different. It's actually a prequel. The same team that made a show called Z Nation is actually involved with this show. But Z Nation was more of kind of a goofy comedy style to the zombie genre. The budget wasn't as big as, say, an Army of the Dead or The Walking Dead, but it was still kind of a fun show to watch. And the same creative team got a contract with Netflix to make this show Black Summer. And look, initially I wasn't too excited because C Nation's an okay show, and many people were kind of doubting the show before it kind of aired. I think it was nearly 2 years ago the first season came out on Netflix because of the pandemic hit and stuff like that, so it was delayed and delayed. But I enjoyed the first season, so I was eager to watch the second season. The trailer dropped a few weeks ago, and there were going to be more in kind of a snow environment. In season 1, the kind of big thing was the zombie outbreak happened. All these different characters were trying to get to the stadium where the military were. That was the safe base and stuff like that. But obviously, it might not have worked out as maybe they hoped. So this season is really, really good, Casey. And I was messaging you to watch it because the directing style, a lot of it's one shot sequences, and the directing style and the actors, they put so much work into this because it's flawless. It really, really is. And this is, even though I enjoyed season 1, season 2 is miles, miles better. It's just unbelievable. As I said, the one camera shot sequences with the zombies. So if say if there's a character who's running away from a zombie or a horde of zombies, you're actually running with the character. The cameraman must be very tired or very fit that works on this show because he does a lot of running. But it feels like you're playing a video game. It feels like you're the character. You're running with them away from the zombies, and you're talking to the screen. Hide out, don't make noise and stuff like that. It feels like you're in a video game. And yeah, I just said to you, if you're kind of curious about the show, watch the first 7 minutes of season 2. There's a one shot sequence that goes on for 7 minutes straight, and it's just fantastic. It really is. And I would say this season, I just finished it today, and I was just blown away. I would say that it's kind of a zombie genre a masterpiece. It's really, really good. And I don't know what happened to the Z Nation creators, but they've really upped their game. Maybe it's because it's a better budget, more freedom, because they were working on a cable TV channel. Now with Netflix, of course, more freedom, more money, and stuff like that. More time to breathe with these characters. But it's kind of like there's mini stories each throughout each episode, and there's chapters. So a chapter could be called just say cold or casket or lodge or something like that. These are just random names, but that's what the name of this like mini story is. And there's a certain amount of characters that you meet throughout the season, but they're all interconnected in some way. And you might see something that happened, the end of something that happened. Then in a different story, you get to see the start of it, and you get to see a different character that was actually in that scene, but you didn't see them the first time around, and it all connects together in a really, really interesting way. So, look, I'm a big fan of the show, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. And Jamie King, who's kind of the lead in season one, her kind of mission was to find her daughter, who kind of who she lost. And this season, she's just a complete badass. She is just she feels like a Zack Snyder female character. The evolution of her character has just been fantastic. So, look, Black Summer is a lot of fun. I love the directing style. It reminds me a little bit of The Servant, KC.
Oh, really?
With M. Night and a few of the directors there, because the other way, like like this season is set in, I don't know where it's set, but it's snowing and all the time, and it's really cold and stuff like that. So it feels like we're all in the one location, even though the characters are spread out and stuff. The same in Servant, we're all like, it's all located in that specific house. And the directing style kind of Servant is like the camera may pan around and follow a character, and like you go up the stairs and you see a different character and stuff like that. Here is kind of similar. The camera is what makes this show, the directing style, because it just follows a character or a scene or an area, and it scatters around and it gets the complete view of it, and something happens. It's just really well done. So I'm probably talking too much about it, but I just really love this season. It's brilliant. It's the zombies are they're not like The Walking Dead. They're really, really fast and they're really, really scary. These zombies are scarier than the zombies that we got to see in Army of the Dead. The chase sequences are a lot more intense. So yeah, that's me finished simping over Black Summer.
Well, you've sold me on this show. This sounds incredible.
Yeah, I'm like,
watch this.
I would say like season one is good, but it's not as good as this season. But bear with it. There's only 8 episodes, and yeah, even if you feel yourself, season one's good. But even if you feel yourself, oh, I don't know if this is for me, just stick around for season 2.
Well, and I feel like we don't get a lot of zombie stuff in the snow. Weirdly, I like that this is set in like a cold place. I don't see that a lot. So
yeah, and it adds to it as well, because the characters are the people who are alive have to run through snow. So they're falling and stuff like that, and like they're getting tired quicker. So yeah, it's a really good thing. And even the zombies are they're falling over the snow. They can't really get their grip in the ground, which is interesting. And you get to see the kind of the breathing, like the coldness through their breath with the zombies as well. And there's even zombies who are completely kind of frozen. Their eyes are frozen and stuff like that. And it's weird, and it's really well done. And it's not like The Walking Dead can be criticized for maybe too much kind of drama at times, too much dialogue. This show does a perfect balance of the kind of the dialogue is done, but you're moving with the characters, you're moving with the cameraman at all times, and then an action sequence happens, and you're with that character, and they have to hide, and they have to. And it's not just zombies. People in this show will turn on you as quick as anything. Like there's times in the show I was watching it. There's even a character from season 1 who you see in season 2, and like he was one of the main characters in season 1, and you're like, oh yeah, I love this character, and then something happens to him, you're like, what? I love this character. Why did they do this? You know, there's a lot of shock value in it, so I would definitely check it out if you're a zombie fan, and even if you're not, I think you can appreciate the direction is just fascinating, brilliant.
yeah, that sounds actually really different, interesting for the zombie genre. So that would sell me on it. So.
Yeah,
I'll definitely check it out.
It was a big hit. Yeah, I've been telling you to check it out, because I was like, Casey, check out Black Summer. Watch Black Summer. Because I think you'll dig the just the production value, everything involved is just. I think they will get a season 3. Season 1 was a big hit, and I would be very disappointed if this doesn't get a season 3.
On Netflix.
Yeah, I know. Netflix is sometimes they're weird, aren't they, Netflix? Even if a show does well, Jupiter's Legacy.
I didn't know it was Netflix, so that has me worried. So we'll see what happens.
But hey, their standard is to
exactly.
go for 3 seasons at least, or most
That's true.
shows. There's that.
Yeah, they wouldn't really cancel a show after 2 seasons. They'd give it kind of maybe the 3rd. So yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. It sounds interesting to me. Although I don't usually like the zombie stuff. It's not one of my favorite things to watch, However, there are exceptions. I liked Army of the Dead, obviously, and World War Z was good. Dawn of the Dead was good. I like the Zombieland stuff. That's pretty funny, and
Yeah.
yeah, stuff like this that's different to the normal typical zombie action movie. I really like that. So I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah. And even if you don't like zombies, but you appreciate like filmmaking and stuff, I think you could definitely learn something from what they do. Even if you were to make a film yourself someday, or even just for your own kind of film knowledge, like this directing style could be done really well, not just in a zombie film or show, but in like just an action sequence like a John Wick or something like that. And it's yeah, it's definitely worth checking out if you're into movies and filmmaking.
Cool. All right, so with that out of the way, we can jump on to the next topic here, which is the Stargirl trailer, which I haven't seen, unfortunately. But Mar, you have seen it. What do you think of it?
Yeah, so like, Stargirl kind of gets a lot of hate and criticism because Jeff Johns is one of the main producers. I think he was the showrunner of season one. If I think he created the character of Stargirl after his sister, I think. And yeah, so season one was pretty good. The reason I wanted to watch season one was because of Luke Wilson. I really like Luke Wilson and Owen Wilson, of course, just in their comedy movies and just as actors. So I was only really watching it for him. And I started watching the show, and it's kind of it has CW kind of elements, but the budget is much higher, and I would say there's more heart in it as well. And there was only I think 11 episodes or 13 episodes in season one, so it wasn't like a Flash where there's 22, 23 episodes. I thought it was a nice kind of condensed story. Nice little villains in it as well. A little bit cheesy at times and stuff like that, but I bared with it, and I thought it was an enjoyable show at the most part. And for someone who's not a comic book reader, I like these types of shows so I can learn about characters. So I got to learn about the Justice Society of America, which we'll see elements of that in Black Adam, of course. But I got to learn about some characters I never knew before. So I look at these kind of shows as me going to school, comic book school, so I get to get educated on them. But the season two trailer came out this week. It was only a little small glimpse, and this season is going to introduce Green Lantern's daughter, which is interesting, and we'll see how it goes. Like a lot of these shows do that, don't they? Like you have in Titans where you have like Wonder Woman's daughter or something
Yeah.
like that introduced. You know, yeah. Like at times it can be cool, but at times it's just like, oh, okay, so we had a superhero, and then they have a son or a daughter, and then they become a superhero and stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes. The show is cheesy at times, but I think some of the production value is pretty good. But I am a bit worried for season two because it's now a CW only show, and it might be on HBO Max as well, but you know, because it was on the DC app, that's gone now, and Titan's going to be on HBO Max. So I'm a little worried about the budget, maybe the visual effects, because that's one of the best things about season one was the budget and the visual effects with the villains and the superpowers and stuff like that, the magic. So we'll see how it goes, but yeah, I'm looking forward to just watching it. It's an easy watch, and Luke Wilson's in it again for season two, and also I don't know if any of you watched the show Community. What's the main guy? I'm forgetting his name now. The main guy in that show.
I
He
know
was
who you're
kind of
talking
in.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of his name, but
Ian McHale. That's him.
Yeah.
Ian McHale. Yeah, he was. He had a cameo in season one because he was the original kind of star man. I think it was the kind of character essence, and he kind of had a cameo, and there was a backstory why he wasn't in the full season. But he's going to pop up in this season. So that's interesting. I really like him as an actor. I think he's very funny. And also, we have, I think I'm getting this right, we have Henry Allen from the Flash series. He's popping up. The father of the Flash is popping up in the last 2 or 3 episodes of this season, which is interesting. So he played Barry. He played Barry Allen in the original Flash TV show back in the 80s or 90s. So he's going to be in this. I found that very interesting because I thought that this would be its own story, but it looks like maybe because it's going to be under the CW banner, maybe they're going to end up bringing that in with the Flash and that world and Legends. Maybe I hope they don't, because I think there's enough characters in this world to have a good story with the Justice Society of America, the villains and stuff like that. But
I was actually about to ask you if it was in the same universe. I haven't seen Stargirl yet, so I didn't know if it was continuity was the same between those.
Yeah, it's very hard to know with all these CW shows and stuff. And then you have Titans, of course. Then you have Doom Patrol. You have the Alfred, isn't it? TV show there as well. You know, you got so many different DC universe shows. It's hard to know which universe they tie
Yeah.
into. And now
Yeah.
with the Flash movie coming, I mean, maybe have Grant Gustin appearing in that. We had Ezra Miller on the Flash show. We had Tom Welling coming in. Maybe it's all just the one universe. I don't know anymore. I think they just make it up as they go along. But in season one, there was no direct ties to say, oh, over in Central City, we've got Barry Allen or the Flash fighting crime there. There was none of those kind of hints or anything like that. It just felt like, oh, there was the Justice Society of America. Okay, cool. And now we have kind of the next generation of that with these younger kids. But the villains are still kind of, the old villains are now back. And they're trying to take over the world because the Justice Society of America is gone, but now the kids take over. But yeah, so there was no signs of it. But now with him popping in, maybe a Flashpoint paradox or something like that, maybe something that happened where they're tied into that, or I don't know, but there was no hints. But it's kind of interesting that now he's going to be in it. So, but I like him as an actor, and I think he's a brilliant Flash. So that's going to be awesome to see him pop up.
Yeah, Aaron, have you gotten a chance to watch this show, or do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? What do you think?
I have not seen the show. But I weirdly I watched the season 2 trailer today, having not seen season 1, so I was a little bit confused. But I was like, I thought it was going to look kind of like the other CW shows, and I was kind of surprised, honestly, because like Sean was saying, the production value is a little higher. I noticed, and it's shot differently. To me, it's shot more like Superman and Lois almost, where it's more of like a film quality. Set of effects and things like that. But the trailer looked interesting. I've never really like read Stargirl comics or anything, but it did intrigue me. I like the characters in it, and oh man, you just said the actor's name that was the guy in there, and I love him.
Ian McHale, I think that's his name.
No, the other guy,
Luke Wilson.
Luke Wilson, yes.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. I love him in anything he's in. So I think I'm gonna watch it now. I probably should.
But Luke Wilson kind of has a relationship, like, so he and his son, so Stargirl, of course, she's the main kind of star of the show, pun intended. And so Luke Wilson gets with her mom, and then they're together, of course. So he's like a stepdad to her. But Luke Wilson kind of has this kind of charm to him where he's very kind of caring, and his relationship with his new daughter is pretty sweet. But he also has his son, and they kind of have a back and forth of kind of comedic moments, like one-liners, and their interaction is pretty funny. So for me, I think Luke Wilson was just a standout in season 1, and he also gets in on some of the action as well, which is pretty cool. And you know what? I love like the likes of Will Ferrell, Jack Black, Ben Stiller, that kind of the frat pack back in the day. They used to do all these movies and pop up with each other. So I think it's awesome that these guys are now in Marvel and DC movies and shows. Like I geek out in that big time. I even have a Mobius action figure ordered because I love Owen Wilson that much. And it's not the coolest action figure to get, but I want it.
I always feel like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme when I'm watching Marvel and DC stuff now, because I'm just pointing at the screen constantly like, hey, that guy I love him. Like, oh my God. It's fantastic. I love that they're doing that now.
Yeah. So as you said, that's a good point about Superman and Lois, which is an amazing show right now. It is shot kind of like that as well. The budget it's taken seriously. But Superman and Lois is kind of more of a serious show. And here the budget is goofy at times, but I will say the soundtrack for season 1 was amazing. A lot of cool kind of songs, older songs, newer songs as well. I thought they were blended into the show well with what was happening on screen at the time. So Joel McHale, that's it. Sorry, I said Ian. Anna, thank you very much. Joel, I was going blank on his name. My sister would kill me because she loves Community. If she was watching, she'd be screaming at the screen right now. But yeah, that's Stargirl season 2. It's coming later this summer, I think, maybe August. I could be wrong about that. Maybe someone in the chat will know, but I'll watch it when it comes around. I'm not counting on the days or anything, but I'll watch it.
Cool. All right. And speaking of Stargirl, we have another DC show to talk about today, which is okay. So another trailer dropped for this, and this was season 3 of Titans, and Yeah, this show is it was interesting to watch for the first season, and I have seen the entire first season and some episodes of season two. Um, I quite enjoyed season one, but I didn't think it was the best. I kind of expected it to be better, and I obviously didn't like what they did with the finale, and how they shifted that to season two. But I like some of the choices, and I don't like some of the choices they've made. And then I was watching season two, and as I was watching episode by episode, I just kind of felt bored and I didn't feel it was interesting enough for me to continue. So by the middle of season two, I just discontinued it, and I had never had the urge to go back and watch it. But yeah, I've seen season three, the trailer, and it looks interesting. Red Hood is in it, and I don't know exactly what storyline is going on right now, but um, yeah, it doesn't interest me enough to go back and watch it again. So, what did you think of it?
I like Titans a lot, but I do feel like that they sometimes with the show have a tonal problem because they'll have certain episodes where you're like, oh, okay, they're taking this a little less seriously, like it's not quite like set in our world or something like that, and then they'll immediately switch to like something that's
Yeah.
super dark and super serious. And I think if they just picked like a tone, I think it would work a little bit better. But as far as the season three trailer, I like this direction, honestly. I think that them starting to do a little more like adaptations of actual comic book stories might work a little more in their favor. Because I wasn't a big fan of the thing that they did with that alternate reality kind of thing with Batman and all that. I don't know if we're talking spoilers on here, but the thing that they did in season two, or
Yeah.
one, I can't remember.
It was two.
Um, it was
With
two.
Don
Okay,
Troy?
yeah, I was. Yeah, well, with the with Batman and the going after the Joker and all that.
Oh, I haven't seen it, so maybe Maher knows what you're talking
Oh,
about.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. It was kind of. It was. We thought it was real, but it kind of wasn't in a way. It's kind of.
Yeah, a little
They
bit
were
of
kind of. They were fooling us, kind of.
yeah, a little fake out kind of thing. I wasn't a huge fan of that, but I do like the fact that season three looks like it's going to be exploring some maybe some Death in the Family kind of vibes and some Red Hood.
Mm.
I love those stories in the comics and the animated versions that they've done. So if that's the direction they're going, I'm excited. I just hope that we get more of the dynamic between Bruce and Dick Grayson, because I love their relationship in the comics and stuff. So if we can get more of that, I'll be happy.
Yeah, and Vesuvius says Stargirl is August 10th. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, so this trailer I thought was pretty good. Now you can see some of the images on screen from Entertainment Weekly. The shot of the guy in kind of the prison uniform is Scarecrow for this season. Now we don't know if he's going to pop up in the actual Scarecrow costume, but he will be in prison, and I think Dick Grayson is going to visit him to try and look for some help to figure out. There's a different villain in the show, so he's going to him to see can he help him with any information. You also have Barbara Gordon's going to be appearing in this season as well. She is Commissioner Gordon. So I don't know if her father is alive or dead or not. Um, Maybe he's just really old. I don't know what's going on with him, but yeah. So the first two seasons of Titans, I enjoyed it from what they were. As I said, I'm not a big comic book fan, so this is an education for me to see these characters on screen, to learn about them a little bit more. And people were kind of screaming at me, "It's not comic accurate. That's not comic accurate." I don't read the comics, so to me, this is accurate to me because it's telling me about these characters. So I know a little bit about Death in the Family and Red Hood and stuff like that. So, but there's some cool elements for this season because we're going to get to see the origin of Jason Todd, kind of Red Hood, and Joker will be appearing in this season. Now, I don't think he's going to actually appear as an actor with dialogue and lines and stuff like that. I think it's going to be more like maybe Jared Leto in Birds of Prey, something like that. But we just see the stunt double or the stand-in just do the stuff. He will be beating down Jason Todd in this season. Then he comes Red Hood. So that's going to be
There
cool.
was a shot
We
of a
also got a
crowbar or
shot in the
something.
trailer.
The trailer.
Yeah, there was Yeah, there's a shot at the crowbar where Bruce Wayne is in his place, of course, and I think there's a laugh or maybe Joker kind of sounds, and the crowbar is on the ground. So I would love for Joker to be like an off-screen presence for this season, and to maybe toy with Batman. Now it could be the crowbar could be put there by Red Hood as a way. That could be a thing that they're doing instead. But I would love Joker to be an off-screen presence. Maybe don't get to see him until maybe a season 4. Don't get to see him at all or something like that. But yeah, I also think that maybe Bruce Wayne, Batman. I don't know if they would be as bold to kill him off, but I think Dick Grayson will take over. Maybe I think there was a shot of him in the Batcave, something like that. So I would look for him to take over in some degree. But yeah, Titans I think is a good show. I really enjoyed Anna Duke's character of Starfire. I think in season 2 she was sidelined big time. In season 1, I loved her dynamic with Dick Grayson and Raven and stuff like that. So I think in season 2 they went away from that, and I wasn't kind of too happy because I like seeing those characters together. So I hope in this season they're not as spaced out as season 2, and they're more together. And this season is more or less centered in Gotham City. The last few seasons were kind of different cities and stuff like that, and wasn't really in the one place. This is going to be in Gotham, so I'm interested in that. Making to see more villains, and Krypto the dog is there, Superboy, Hank and Dawn. Their kind of relationship is kind of a little bit cracked at the minute as well. So look, I'm looking forward to this. This is coming. The first 3 episodes are dropping at once in August, and then weekly the rest of the episodes will come out. So yeah, the trailer I thought was pretty good, and it was dark enough as well. And maybe the budget's gone up a little bit higher for this season because it's now a HBO Max production. It's going to be premiering there, so that's going to be awesome to see. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this season goes, and if it can mess up the season finale 3 years in a row. Yeah. And Anna says, I wonder if we'll be seeing Oracle too. The whole dynamic with Joker in the story changes things. Yeah, that's a good point. Barbara Gordon is appearing now in a wheelchair. Joker's being brought in this season as well. Red Hood. So we'll see how that goes. Starfire versus her sister for the throne. Yes, Starfire's sister is going to be brought into this season as well, and she may be an antagonist. I don't think in the first few episodes. I think in the latter half of this season she's going to be introduced. So
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, so let's see how that goes. So I think there's a lot of interesting things to be excited about for this season.
That's awesome. I might check it out if I, hear good things about season 3 or stuff like that. Because right now I'm very much not interested in it because it's not very consistent. And like Aaron, you said, they keep switching between the tones, and it's just not. It feels like I'm watching different shows at times, and even the storyline gets shifted around a lot, and the characters, their arcs change a lot. So I don't know what's happening and why is it not consistent. Even a show like Gotham, which I really loved and enjoyed. Yes, they were also doing the story changes and all that, but that was still consistent as Gotham. This show does feel sometimes like season 1 is vastly different from season 2, and it just keeps shifting a lot, and I don't know what they want to do or where they want to go. So it's interesting to watch where they go with season 3. So based on that, I might check it out.
Yeah, and even the end of season 2 was a little bit weird. Wonder Woman's daughter, I forget her name. It feels like ages ago I watched the season 2 because of COVID and stuff like that. I'll definitely have to revisit it before the show comes back. But the way she was, spoilers, kind of taken out of the show was just a little bit weird. They kind of defeat the big bad.
I didn't even
season,
get to that
kind
point.
Of like downtime. Okay, but there's like they beat the big baddie for the season, and then they get to this kind of point where it's kind of wind down time, and the end of the season's come, and then this thing just happens, and you're like, really, you're gonna do that? This really cool character.
I think you actually explained it better than like the show did just now. So like, they have a problem with that sometimes. I'll be watching it and I'll be like, okay, so this is happening, all right, and then they'll cut to something, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, hold on.
Yeah, and then like the stuff with Deathstroke in season 2 was pretty amazing, and then it kind of made him a little bit vulnerable with the stuff with his daughter or his son, I can't remember, but his child, and all the dynamic that happened there and stuff, which was really, really interesting. And then they go too far away from it, and then they bring you back into it, and then you're not as interested. But I loved season one because I
Yeah.
thought it was very grounded in the aspect of, even I know Starfire is kind of an alien kind of type and stuff like that, but she didn't know where she came from. She was confused and stuff like that, and she met Dick Grayson. I thought their chemistry. Uh, uh, Brenton Twats plays or Twaits plays Nightwing, which I think he's a
Yeah.
brilliant casting.
I
He'd
don't
be a great
think
cinematic
I don't think you
Nightwing.
can get a better Nightwing than him. Like he is literally
Yeah,
Nightwing. Like he looks exactly like the part,
yeah,
and he also acts very good.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. He's brilliant. And I love their relationship, and like, I thought the three of them, when Raven, Dick, and Starfire, just them being together, kind of on the run, him protecting her, and Starfire real understanding her powers, and yeah, I just thought that was really well done. But then season two, they bring in so many other characters, and they're just separated, and I wasn't as
Yeah.
invested. So hopefully, with season three, that everyone's kind of a little bit closer. Then it might be a little bit. It might bring me back to be caring about these characters again.
Yeah. I was and the episode 8 of season 1 was Doom Patrol, right? And I was like, why
Yeah,
such a random intro to some random characters in a show that's not about them, right? And I watched that episode and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then
yeah.
obviously they started Doom Patrol, their own show, and I watched that show.
They rebooted.
Yeah. And I watched that show
They kind of rebooted.
and I was like, that was brilliant because I love Doom Patrol. I think that's way better than Titans, and I knew nothing about that show. Like none of those characters I knew about, and that show was so brilliant. Like the writing, they know what they are. They're so ridiculous at times, and so all of that I really enjoyed, and that was very much consistent. And season two ended kind of abruptly because of COVID, and they couldn't film everything. But I still enjoyed it, and although the ending was kind of obviously it ended abruptly in between the entire season's story, so it felt kind of off. But apart from that, I loved everything about it. So the writers over there and the showrunners over there are doing a pretty good job. So I don't know why Titans is having that issue.
Is
Yeah,
Titans and Doom Patrol the same people like writing and everything?
I don't know. Are they?
You would
I don't
I don't
know
think.
because they were brought in season one, and then they kind of rebooted for their own show.
Yeah, I guess they kind of spun Doom Patrol off, and then they got a different team of people to
Yeah.
handle it. But I agree with you. I do think that Doom Patrol just kind of knows what it is a little more, and they're not afraid to be like, yeah, look, this is kind of wacky. This is a little
Yeah.
weird, but like we get that. Titans. As much as I do like aspects of it, it just really just needs to find its
Yeah.
place, and it's where it wants to go.
I agree. And the
Yeah,
Titans season one cast also was amazing. I thought everyone did a pretty good job. Everyone knows their characters and embodied them pretty well. And Sean, I'm like you. I don't read comics, so but I do know some of those characters, and I have seen them in animation and stuff. But I approach every iteration differently. I want to be surprised, and I am expecting some of the character traits to be in there, but if they are not, and if they are done well, I do appreciate that. So I think Starfire was amazing. Beast Boy was also really good. They had Hawk and Dove. I know nothing about those characters, and they were
yeah.
great. And again, they didn't use them enough. And then other characters in season one were also good. So there also was Trigon, which is a major character, and also yeah, Raven was good. Raven, I really like Raven and her chemistry between Raven, the actress, and Brenton Twace is great. I think they both have a good bond in the show. But I don't know. I'm just talking about season one. I don't know if that's still there or.
But Trigon's a pretty cool character, but I think he was too big
Yeah.
for a TV budget production. He would have been great for like a big, massive cinematic film. I think season two didn't really do him that much justice because he's
Yeah.
very a CGI type character. He's not really done well. But yeah, it's weird. The licensing is weird over here for any show. Like Titans 1 and 2 was on Netflix here. That's where I got to
Yeah, me
watch it,
too.
like months after the US. And Doom Patrol isn't available here on Netflix. I think it might be on Amazon. I don't have Amazon right now, but it wasn't before. And the only place I looked, I can get it is Apple TV, where I have to buy the box set for the season. And then Swamp Thing is available on Amazon. That's where I watched that. So the licensing for all the shows is all over the place here. So it's hard to. I've still yet to see Doom Patrol, which I really want to see it because Brendan Fraser was in it. So. But I definitely have to check it out. But Anna makes a good point. She watched the early 2000s Birds of Prey show. I'm ready for anything. That's a pretty good point. If you survive those days, then you're a soldier. But yeah, I actually watched the clip. There's a pretty cool clip on YouTube of the Oracle scene. Well, it's not cool, but the Oracle scene where Joker comes to her house and kills or shoots Barbara Gordon, and then she's in a wheelchair, and Oracle is kind of born that way and stuff. Mark Hamill did the voice for that Joker. He wasn't in the suit or anything. It was like some other random guy. But Mark Hamill did the voice, which was pretty cool. Go check that out. And actually, the Batgirl suit from that show isn't the worst. It's actually it's pretty.
They executed that scene really well. In that old show, that was actually really well done. And I kind of wish that we could get like an updated version of that at some point. See it in live action. Whether it had been in like on TV or in like the DCEU in Zack's movies or something, that would have been really cool to see.
Yeah, well, look, if they're doing Jason Todd, Red Hood for this season, where I think Joker's going to be an off-screen presence, we get to see Joker kind of like a stunt double or something like that do it to Jason. Then who's to say we won't get one for Barbara, an origin story for how she became got into the wheelchair and stuff like that. So we could get to see a updated version of it. So let's see.
Cool. So before we move on, do you have any final thoughts on the trailer, and what are you most excited to see in this?
I just want to see the characters interact again. The chemistry I thought was pretty good in season 1, and it was there in season 2, but they're just kind of just working around each other enough for me. So I want to see that kind of connection again, and just kind of feel for these characters. And like if anything happens to them, I want to feel emotion. By the end of season 2, what happened to Wonder Woman's daughter, I just didn't feel anything because we had gotten over the big storyline. It would have been better if it happened in the big storyline.
Cool. Aaron?
I hope that the show is as good as the trailer was, because I actually like how they did the trailer. And I'm liking that they're taking. It looks like they're going to take some risks with it, more than just like what they did in the past 2 seasons. I do hope. I know you were saying, Sean, that you didn't think that they'd show Joker. I do hope we do get to see somebody playing the character, because I think it would be cool to get 1 or 2 scenes with some dialogue, because we've never gotten to see that interaction before. So I think that would be cool. But I'm just hoping that it does a little bit better than the last 2 seasons. And if it's going to be dark this season and just stay that way, I'll be happy.
Yeah, well, if Joker shows up, I'm going to think this is the best show ever, because I love Joker, and I think the character's bigger than any actor. And no disrespect to Heath Ledger, I love him, but I think I will watch Jared Leto, I'll watch Joaquin Phoenix, I'll watch Cameron Monaghan, I'll watch anybody play the Joker, because I love the character that much. So
I'm with you on that, man. Definitely.
I hope he pops up too. It would be awesome.
I agree. Yeah. And if Cameron shows up, then I'll definitely watch, because I loved his Joker. Yeah. He was amazing.
Yeah,
he was incredible. He was, oh my gosh.
Even though he wasn't necessarily the Joker, but he was the Joker.
He was by the time the show ended, he played like almost every iteration of the Joker. Like he played the Mark Hamill one, which is my favorite one, and he played that brilliantly. And then he moved on to Heath Ledger, and then to another, and and then in the ending, I think he did kind of his own thing with one of the comic Jokers, and there's really not any live action reference there, so he had to do his own thing. And when he's old and falls in the vat of acid and all that, so that was interesting to watch. But yeah, if he shows up in Titans, I'm definitely watching.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Titans season 3 trailer. Let us know what you think, and we'll move on to the next topic here, which is Matrix 4. Okay, so there's not much to talk about right now, but Firstly, the title of Matrix 4 is rumored to be Resurrections, Matrix Resurrections, and there's also a recent screening, apparently, for this movie. And here's what the person who saw the movie has to say. He says The Matrix Resurrections screened this afternoon, and it is weird, meta, engrossing, surprisingly funny, and ambitious to a fault. I expect word of mouth to be wildly mixed, but the people who love it will love it. So this tweet kind of seems hopeful, because I was kind of, intrigued by this movie, but I was not that excited, as I really liked the first three movies, and those three, if you were to do in modern times, it would have to be something really special. And I'm not someone who says don't reboot or don't continue a franchise, you'll just ruin it or anything like that. I'm always up for watching new movies and all that, but uh the director is has not have she has not had a good track record after those movies. So I was kind of iffy on this. But hearing this from the screening, which obviously can change from now to the movie to when the movie is released, it sounds promising to me. And I like that it's the word meta is mentioned, because that has to come into play at some point because of how many advocates for simulation theory are present today. So that has to be meta in some way, and surprisingly funny is a good thing, I think, because that would probably appeal to more people then. And ambitious to a fault, I think ambitious is good, and I don't know if they fail at capturing that ambition that they were going for, but at least they have the ambition, so that I will definitely applaud. So, without watching anything so far and just going by this tweet, what do you guys think of this?
Yeah, I haven't seen the Matrix films in a while. I watched them when I was younger, so I'll definitely go back and watch them before this one comes out. I'm looking forward to it. I love Keanu Reeves. So he's kind of having his own renaissance per se. John Wick's doing
Yeah.
pretty well. He was in Toy Story 4. He made a few other kind of sequels that are coming back and stuff like that. John Wick 4 and 5 are going to shoot. So yeah, looking forward to it. Like is it the Wachowskis? Is that the director's
Yes.
names? I know they kind
Lana
of
Wachowski
he or
is
she. I'm not too sure.
directing, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I don't mean to be disrespectful if I do say if I get names wrong and stuff like that. But what they did for cinema was just absolutely amazing. Like they redefined cinema per se. So like even though like they have made some maybe not as good movies after Matrix, I would never doubt them. It's like doubting. I would never doubt James Cameron. I would never doubt Christopher Nolan, even if they put out 10 bad movies in a row. I would never doubt them because of that one piece of magic that they
Yeah.
did. So I think they've had years to kind of to think about this, to maybe look at mistakes. And remember, like the first one was a huge hit, and the studio is going to come to them and say, "Here's this amount of money,
Yeah.
go make a sequel." And then they have to create something else. When the first one was purely out of heart and out of just imagination, and then they have to create two more sequels, and then you lose a bit of that, I think, as well when you're forced to maybe do it. So I think over the years they may have thought of different ways to do it and to bring new things and make up for mistakes and storyline choices and maybe new characters. So yeah, I think it's interesting that they're coming back after all these years, and I'm expecting this movie to be great because of the time they've stayed away. I know that previous movies that they've had may not have been that good and maybe didn't make money and stuff like that, but I think there's something about proving people wrong and going back to doing something that made you a success.
Their originals
I
were
think they
revolutionary though,
can't.
like the VFX work and the
Yeah,
practical effects that they
yeah,
did. It was awe-inspiring for everyone in cinema.
I
it was
remember seeing
brilliant. I
those
think
as a kid, and it literally blew my mind. It
Same.
was insane. The
yeah,
effects.
it they're just brilliant. But like it's like people are doubting Avatar 2 because it's taken so long. I would never
Yeah.
doubt James Cameron because what he did for visual effects in 2009 like that redefined the industry, and now it's being redefined again. And when he comes out with Avatar 2, I guarantee you it will be something that we've never seen before, because the guy wouldn't step away for this long to create these movies unless they were completely
Yeah.
insanely different and new. So I think we're going to get something different. I think we're going to get something we've never seen before, and it may not be widely received, but I think they're going to go for an ambitious take on the Matrix Resurrections, and I'm excited for it because I think it's their vision, and they've obviously come back for a reason. So I don't think it's just money this time. I think it's because they want to prove something, and the vision is strong, like it was for the first one.
Aaron, what do you think?
Well, I'm weirdly one of the people that liked the Animatrix, which was, the all animated shorts that they put out. I loved those, and I'm kind of hoping it goes in a more direction where they can, like, I don't know. I feel like the original movies didn't explore what it was really like for anybody else other than like Neo and the crew that he was with. But when they first announced this, I was kind of worried. I was like, I thought this was going to be a reboot of the series. And I'm one of those people, I would much prefer a sequel 30 years later than a reboot of the entire thing and
Yeah.
start over. So I love a good, like, time spanning sequel, whether it's Star Wars or, anything like that, where they wait a long time, because I feel like when you wait that amount of time, it gives you a different perspective on it, maybe,
Yeah.
because these people have lived, the Wachowskis have lived, decades now in between the movies, and maybe they could pick up some stuff that, they didn't have back in the originals. It's, and I think now, like you were saying, where it was the simulation theory conversation that's going on right now, I think that that's going to play really heavy into it, and I think they're going to challenge, like, the conversation that's going on with that. And if that's what they mean by meta, then I'm so in for that, because I love when a movie takes, what's in the zeitgeist and what people are talking about and adapts it into a film. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that part I'm very
Yeah.
intrigued about as well. And Grace Randolph said today that she's been hearing that this movie is very similar in some way to Free Guy, which is another Ryan Reynolds movie. And she clarified that by saying that both movies kind of have the video game elements. So that is an interesting, thing to say about it. I'm not sure how exactly that ties into this, but I just hope that it's not completely about a video game.
I'm glad she clarified
Yeah.
that, because when she just, if she would have just said, "Oh, it's like Free Guy," I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh no,
Right?
oh god." There's like power ups that they pick
Right.
up, and like no. So I'm
I think
hoping
it's
that she means more of like the way that they're in a video game and they know that
Yeah.
they are, kind of like how they're in the Matrix and they know that they're in the Matrix, rather than the other aspects of Free Guy.
I think the word meta is what will make the difference between Free Guy and
Yeah.
Matrix Resurrections, because I think we come away from this movie kind of. I think it will be a reflection on society and maybe us as people and technology. Very much how, like, you come out of the Truman Show and you're thinking about stuff. You come out of Blade Runner 2049, you're actually thinking about world environments and how you act as a person. I think we can see something similar to this. And technology has changed from when these movies first came out, like phones, computers, all that kind of stuff, the pandemic. So I think we could see elements of that in this movie, where it's a reflection on society, and maybe the video game aspect is a reflection of us in some way. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I think, yeah, we're going to get something pretty interesting. I can't wait. And it's a shame that Warner Brothers kind of put all their movies onto HBO Max, because I want to see this movie on the big screen. I'm not watching this on my TV at home. No way. I'm watching this on the big screen I can get if possible. So yeah, I think it's going to be a thrill ride.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves, some of the old cast coming back. Yahya Abdul, I think is going to be in it as well. He's cast in it.
And also,
he's getting some amazing roles.
Yeah, and also she's in it. The heroine who is in Iron Fist, Jessica Henwick.
Oh yeah,
she's in it.
Yeah.
Oh, she's really good. I'm glad she's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vesuvius says about Sirius. He goes, I think when we see Neo, he'll be asleep, then wake up. get coffee, be late for work, etc. Stuff like that. It'd be interesting if we seen kind of Neo back in his environment before kind of the first one kicked off. He was just living day to day,
Yeah.
and he was so imagine he was put back into that, and then he was brought back into the Matrix, something like that. We also have Anna goes. Some franchises need time to breed and become fresh again. Yeah, I think the years have gone by will be a benefit towards this one.
Absolutely. And Fear Jason asks, which Matrix movie is your favorite? I would definitely say that part one is my favorite one. And I did like the other two movies as well, minus some of the aspects like that crazy rave dance stuff. um, but apart from that, I really did like the original the most. And some of the stuff in the sequels are really good as well, like the whole fight in the third movie between Neo and all those clones, um agents. I forgot what they're called. Agents, right?
Yeah,
Agent,
Smith?
we're all blanking on the name here.
Agent
yeah.
Smith, right?
Is it Smith?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
the
chat probably known.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that was actually oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Just that I loved that fight. It was because at that time, seeing such a massive scale of duplication in people, and then having an action sequence that with the 360 camera, slow motion, and all that stuff was really amazing to watch. So I did love all that.
Yeah, and Lawrence Fishburne confirmed that he's not coming back, and Hugo Weaving
Yes.
is not coming back either. That's interesting, and it actually gets me a little bit more interested that they're not coming back, because then it's just not a cash grab of bringing back every single character that made the first one great. You have Keanu Reeves coming back, you have the female actress, I don't know her name, but they're coming back. The core characters are coming back, so we'll be introduced to new characters, and we could have another character. If we can get a character as iconic as Agent Smith or Lawrence Fishburne's character, that's even better than bringing back the old guys, because then you expand the world even more, you expand the franchise, and
Just like Star Wars
I think
did.
that could be. Yeah, well, not in a better way, hopefully.
Sort of.
Yeah.
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 Well,
They totally didn't bring anybody back in Star Wars just for
yeah,
nostalgia.
totally
didn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely excited to watch this. I know a lot of people are hating on it already because the idea of it happening is just offensive to them for some reason. But I'm always intrigued by every new thing that they put on. I love to watch new takes and continuation of franchises. I love all that. So I'll wait for a trailer and I'll watch the movie and then make up my own mind.
Yeah, and Anna goes, also the Matrix can definitely benefit from the technological advances in cinema to really push boundaries. That's a good point. Yes, very much how James Cameron couldn't really make the sequels until a technology was created that he needed, and then he could get work on it. So yeah, definitely. Sylvius goes, I think there's a lot to be said about Keanu and Carrie Ann being the jumpers in that video. Yeah, there was a video of them on set where they were jumping kind of doing stunts up beside buildings and stuff like that. So yeah, we're going to get something awesome, I bet.
Cool. Yeah, Ascended says they should have named the movie Matrix Reload. Oh wait. Yeah, that's already taken. Anna says I was literally about to ask if Lawrence Fishburne is coming back. Wow. Yeah.
See, Anna, I read your mind. This is the Matrix. We're all tied up, and yeah.
There's something interesting about what he said as well. Recently, he was asked if he's coming back, and he said, "No, I have nothing to do with it, and you should ask the director about it." So maybe he's, maybe he wasn't even asked to be in it, so he's probably wondering why.
But he is confirmed for John Wick 4 and
Yes.
5. So
Yeah, he's always awesome. So there's nothing of I don't think there's any beef with that or anything like that.
He just had to pick between which Keanu Reeves franchise he wanted to be in now, and he chose John Wick.
That's right. I didn't make that connection.
he chose the pigeons. Pigeons.
Yeah, he chose the one that's
I would never
successful
say
right
for
now.
bet.
Don't give them ideas though, because then they'll try to say that John Wick is in the Matrix universe, and
Oh,
then it'll just be a mess.
Crossover.
yeah. Look, we're all in the Matrix, so it's all a crossover.
That's true.
DC's favorite word, the multiverse.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Is that a segment?
yeah, that's a good segue. Speaking of DC,
Yes.
we have our next topic, which is DC, and it's the Suicide Squad. Um, and we have finally a new picture, and this picture looks, you know, from the same movie like the other pictures we saw, but it's from a different angle. It's a cool picture. We see Harley Quinn, we see Peacemaker, Thinker, Bloodsport, and Rick Flag. Um, but there's also one new controversy because it's James Gunn and everyone is James Gunn. So there has to be someone who's fighting him and stuff like that, right? Look,
Wait, there's a controversy in DC?
something new,
Oh,
right?
man. Huh.
So yeah, the director James Gunn, he as usual was replying to people on Twitter, and someone asked him, "Will Superman have anything to do with your movie?" And he replied, "Bloodsport is in prison for taking him down with a kryptonite bullet. If you believe these covers," okay, so that's just him referring to the original tweet. So he killed Superman or just tried to? Was another question, and he replied, he put him in the ICU, but he failed to kill him. Okay, so firstly, looking at this and coming from seeing that it's coming from James Gunn, there is a high possibility that he's just joking, and is just trolling, like he kind of does from time to time. But also, it could be true, like you don't actually have to show Superman in the ICU for this to actually exist in that movie. You can just have Bloodsport say it. Now, whether that's true or not, again, that depends on depends on you whether to believe it when he says it. So there's also another layer to that. So it could be in the movie. He could say that to someone, but that could also not be true, right? So I what I think of this, I didn't know that this was already a pre-existing thing in the comics. So I was kind of taken aback by that comment that Superman is in the ICU. That's like Thanos getting arrested by the police. That stuff only happens in the comics. So it makes sense when I saw that comic book art from one of the comics. But for the movie, like I said, I don't think they need to show that. You can just say it, and it's definitely going to have some jokes. And this movie is it's going to be weird and have weird stuff in it. So this is just another thing to add to it. I'm excited to see this movie because it's James Gunn, and I know what his style is, and I know that I will be getting that, and not another studio hacked project. So yeah, I'm excited to see this. I'm not at all worried about Superman being in the ICU. What do you guys think?
I was
Yeah,
thinking about it. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, you said that you didn't think it would be in the movie, and it's like now if they don't reference it or if it's not in the movie, we're gonna get release the gun cut because
That's true.
then there's gonna be a scene that he's referenced that's not in there. But I don't know. I think something like that is exactly the way you were saying it. It works good in a comic book because I think if we see. If they pull a Shazam, because I don't think Henry Cavill has filmed anything for this, definitely. But I don't want another like headless Superman cameo,
Yeah.
but he's in the hospital. Like that would just, because I mean, it just makes no sense. And we've had such a grounded, DCEU mostly up to this point in terms of the powers of the heroes and sticking to their like abilities and things. And I just feel like that would be just kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know, like
Especially if we actually see the scene.
if we see the scene, I will audibly gasp in the theater.
Right.
I'll be honest with you. That's He can just make a
Yeah.
reference. I feel like that would be best. And it feels weird to me that James Gunn, I'm a fan of his movies. But I feel like it was weird for him to phrase it that way. I feel like he could have said, "Oh, Bloodsport's in prison for just firing at Superman," or I don't know if he had to go the entire way of like, "Oh, he literally
Yeah.
put him in the hospital."
That's why I think he's kind of
There-
trolling there.
Yeah, maybe you're right, and I'm hoping that that's true because if we find out in the movie there's a piece of paper, maybe it's like in the first movie where we saw each character's like rap sheet and the things that they had done to
Yes.
go to prison and things. Maybe if it says like in prison for shooting Superman, I'd be
Yeah.
fine with that. I just think we could leave out the he's in the hospital because that literally, how would you even explain that?
Right. And his face and his DNA.
I think there's there's a really good chance of a joke. Like, so say you have Bloodsport, and is it Bloodsport or Bloodshot
Bloodsport.
or Bloodsport? Speaking of Vin Diesel, Vin Diesel's masterpiece of a Supergirl.
Yeah.
But no, I think there's a good joke. Like you have the Suicide Squad together, and they're all telling each other, well, "What are you in for?" And you got Bloodsport saying, "Oh, I shot Superman, put him in the ICU," and then it cuts to the scene where he shot Superman, but it had no effect on him whatsoever, and Superman just captures him.
That would be
I think
cool.
there's a funny
Yeah.
joke he could do there.
You're a genius,
Yeah.
actually. That would make sense. He's just bragging and talking it up, and then we see the scene and he shoots Superman, and we get a look like in the beginning of BVS. Superman just looks up like not impressed, like
That would
not
be cool.
having it.
Yeah. No, but I don't think we will see. Look, it's a shame because we're in 2021 now, and Shazam came out in 2018, and even Justice League in 2017. They still didn't have a contract agreement with Henry Cavill, and here we are 4 years later, and there's still no contract agreement with Henry Cavill. So for him to appear in this as a cameo is very unlikely unless he signs a deal in the next. We're in June now, unless he signs a deal in the next month, and James Gunn can shoot a tiny cameo with him, then he's probably not in this movie. And the best scenario that we can get, my prediction is that we'll see the scene and we'll see like we'll see Superman flying, and like the camera will be behind Superman, and you see like his feet and the cape, and then you have Bloodsport in kind of the distance in front of Superman and his kind of reaction to seeing Superman, something like that. That's the best I think we're going to get. It's a shame because Henry, like, if it was Marvel, Robert Downey Jr. would show up. Chris Evans would show up. Chris Hemsworth would show up because their universe is very much cemented. But here, I don't see Henry Cavill showing up, and I'm a little bit worried for the Suicide Squad movie because commercially, the first one, say what you want about the movie, it was a success, but the marketing campaign was one of the best of any of the DC movies because you had Jared Leto, Harley Quinn, you had Batman's in this as well, the chase sequence there, Will Smith, who was he's still a big star. I don't care what anyone says. Look at Aladdin, that would stack about $1 billion with no kind of A-list actors, only him and Guy Ritchie directing. So Will Smith was a big ploy for that movie as well. He's missing. Ben Affleck's Batman won't be in this movie unless he's a stunt double or something like that. We're probably not going to see that in the marketing. There's no Henry Cavill Superman. The first one had Flash as well. Word of mouth for the first one was pretty good. I went to go see it opening night. But what was the movie like? Oh, Batman was in it. Flash was in it. Stuff like that. It really adds to it. So, and plus, we see Mark Miller with Jupiter's Legacy. His old comments, his old tweets came back to haunt him big time there because there's trolls, there's people who don't like you as a person. But if you slip up and say one bad thing about something that they love, like a Batman v Superman, those people are waiting in the wings to come back and get you. James Gunn was a Marvel director. He's now with DC, and this is his first movie since the controversy. Yeah. So that could come back to hit this movie hard. And plus, we're in a pandemic, so word of mouth for this movie could be poor. Online social media buzz could be poor because of his old tweets. So I think this is a big. I think if this was a Marvel movie, I'd be way more confident because you put the Marvel tag on it. People are automatically going to see it. Oh, Marvel. You don't have to have any of Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, or Thor in the marketing whatsoever. You just need Marvel there, and people know it's probably going to be a good time. So yeah, this movie I think faces an uphill battle. It's
they
also
do have
opening
Margot
on
Robbie
HBO Max
though.
same day. True, Margot
He
Robbie
has to
slowly
do
building up.
a lot of heavy lifting because even she was kind of the star of the first movie, and she was a big sell for that movie because of how amazing her performance was. Everyone was buzzing about her character. So Harley Quinn is very popular from the first movie, from the animated series, and Birds of Prey. So now everyone will definitely be looking forward to watching her in this and see what James Gunn's Harley Quinn is like. So I think Margot Robbie and James Gunn both have a lot of heavy lifting to do in this movie.
Well, and
Yeah.
the original Suicide Squad ended up having controversy during the press tour because everything came out about Jared Leto's
Right.
actions behind the scenes supposedly. So I mean, both films kind of had this like little bit of well, the new one's going to, but like have this little bit of an air that's above them.
Yeah.
During the press tour, which I'm sure now that we're getting a little safer pandemic wise, I'm sure they'll do like a press tour, like a more proper like actual press tour, and I just hope that none of that, because I don't want any director to fail or have a bad movie. I want everybody to
Yeah.
do well and movies to do good. But I do think that like with Margot Robbie being in this, she did everybody even people that had problems with Birds of Prey still really said that her performance in that movie was fantastic. She was a producer on it. And I think that people that are fans of the original Suicide Squad, myself included, are going to be interested to see the characters that they've brought over from the original, such as Rick Flag and Boomerang.
Amanda Waller.
Um,
He's a big
Amanda
one.
Waller, yeah, and I am exactly, yeah, and I'm curious to see if they're going to how much they're going to carry over their continuity from like if they're going to make any direct references to the first
Yeah.
mission that they went on. I know we saw some promotional material that was talking about, I believe it was Enchantress in some promotional material. It was talking about it. So I just wonder, how much of a connective thread these two movies are going to have. Because then, if it does, I think you're going to get all the people that are fans of the original to go, and then if it's a new, fresh take with James Gunn, you're going to get all that crowd in there too. So I think if they play this right, I think they could really have a good showing out for this.
Yeah, you bring up another
and
good point about the fans. I think James Gunn had it kind of easy with the Marvel fandom because everything is consistent over there, and so there's no divisions between fans, and most fans like everything MCU. So there's no major divisions among the fans, right? So DC is another story, and here there are different types of fans: the Snyder fans, the comic book fans, the general audience, the new DC fans. So there's a lot of division here. So James Gunn will have to. He's definitely seeing all that on Twitter, and he's very well aware of this. And he also understands why the division is there, and he understands the restore the Snyderverse and all that stuff. He clearly understands that, and he has tweeted about this before. So it's not something new to him. So I bet he will, after the movie comes out, I bet he will have a taste of what DC fandom is like.
Yeah, and like I think that's a good point as well because I think the directors are more entwined with what the fans say and do online than say Warner Brothers. I think the directors get the fans.
James Gunn surely is
That's
because
why,
he's always on Twitter.
Yeah, and even David Sandberg and Andy Muschietti, these guys know what's going on at Warner Brothers with Snyder. So they're very careful on what they put into the movie. Go back to Shazam 1. There's a lot of Batman v Superman references in it for a reason, and and it didn't go completely away from it. You look at Andy Muschietti right now. Like I don't think these guys would be foolish to listen to every single thing that Warner Brothers tells them about retconning the Snyderverse and stuff like that because they know themselves that's not going to work. They're going to piss off a lot of people, and that's going to affect their movie badly. So I don't think that the Flash movie or Suicide Squad with James Gunn or Shazam 2, I don't think they're going to be completely oblivious to the Snyderverse or the characters or even the first Suicide Squad and stuff like that. Because for me, that's kind of that's self-sabotage because you're going to piss off a lot of fans. And I'm a fan of this first Suicide Squad movie, and I don't necessarily think this one's a reboot. I don't look at it as a reboot. I just look at a continuation of the characters. Toby Emmerich said it was a reboot, but that guy doesn't have a clue about DC Universe right now. He just doesn't have a clue whatsoever. So I think there will be slight references to the first Suicide Squad, and it doesn't have to say, "Oh, do you remember in the first movie we met Flash, or I met the Flash." It doesn't have to go
Yeah.
to that level. It just has to say, we've been on this team before. That's a cool reference. That's all
Gunn
you need.
also
It's a
said,
sequel. You don't have to talk about everything that happened in the first
yeah,
one.
Gunn also said that you don't have to watch the first one to understand this one. So it probably isn't that
Yeah,
much connected, but it doesn't also have to be a, oh, what is the Suicide Squad? This is blah blah blah, and like we have never heard that before. So it's probably not.
I think that's a good in
Yeah,
between. I think that's a good middle ground to lay. So you get stuff for fans of the original, but you're not like every 5 seconds going, "Hey, remember
yeah,
when like this happened?" Exactly what you were saying, John. Because
yeah,
then it gets to be like, okay, yeah, we get it. There was a movie before this one. We
yeah.
gotcha.
yeah,
And remember, James Gunn has an ego. He's a billion-dollar
yeah,
director. He's not looking at this like, oh, I'm making a sequel to David
yeah,
Ayer's movie. Like, that's why he's saying you don't need to see the first one, because he made his own Suicide Squad movie with some characters that were in the first one. So like, there's a lot of egos there, even though they won't say it and stuff, and they probably are friends and they do like each other. But of course, they want to beat each other. James Gunn would love nothing
absolutely.
more to get a bigger box office or a bigger critical reception than the first one, because he wants to make it his own. So he's not going to say, "Yeah, this is me making a sequel to David Ayer's film." He's making his own Suicide Squad, the Suicide
Yeah,
Squad movie, and that's why you don't have to see the first one, because yeah, I made my own movie.
absolutely. Aaron, what do you think of the image, the movie, and are you excited for it? Did you like the trailers?
Yeah. I actually liked the. I think I was in agreement with most people where I liked the second one that was shown at the
Yes.
theatrical trailer that played before the movies more than the first one. The first one reminded me a little bit too much of Guardians of the Galaxy, which I'm hoping this has its own identity rather than that. Which I love Guardians, but like I do think that the Suicide Squad's a bit of a different beast to
Mm-hmm.
tackle, whereas the Guardians are obviously reluctant heroes, and the Suicide Squad members are villains that just so happen to be doing something
Yeah.
good one or two times. Um, but I like the way it looks, and I like that Gunn is playing into a little more of the comic book style of it, whereas the first one was almost like a tactical kind of film, especially with the way David Ayer originally wanted it, where it was a lot more like Black Hawk Down or something, where these guys are trapped, in a place and they've got to get their way out of there. Like a more of a war film, whereas this seems more like a traditional comic book movie, which is fine, and I
Yeah.
like both. And I think having the villain in this one be a giant starfish is definitely setting up
Yes.
expectations, because you're like, okay, this is not okay. We're not in like the same
It does
kind of
feel
like
like a James
tonal
Gunn movie.
universe as the first. Yeah, yeah. Of course, he
Yeah.
would make Starro the villain, like like just as he made Ego the
Yes.
villain in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. This giant,
Planet.
like, what is happening kind of. Yeah, he's just a
Yeah.
big planet, like, and this is just a big starfish. So, and I think that the villain of it is gonna factor in much less than we think it is. Like, the villain's just gonna end up being this big thing that they can fight in the end. But I think the real tension and stuff of the movie is gonna come from the characters. They're gonna be sort of the real antagonists of the film, and then the big bad is just exactly what it is, like a big bad.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm definitely excited, and I will definitely be checking it out when it comes out.
What do you
yeah.
think?
Also, I want
Yeah,
to.
go ahead.
I was going to say that Anne made a good point about it's not called Suicide Squad 2 for a
Yes.
reason. That kind of backs up what I was saying. But I just kind of want to address what Lion 23 City said in the chat as well. And thanks for the comment. He goes, Snyder fans really need to give up and leave. It's a very stressful job for every director to be ahead of those crazy fans trying to sabotage their movies. Snyderverse is done for good. Now, I just want to say, I'll be respectful to your comment, but the three of us are Zack Snyder fans here. And as I said, I've watched Stargirl, I've watched Superman Lois, I'm excited for Titans, I'm excited for the Suicide Squad movie, I'm excited for the Batman movie. KC is a Snyderverse fan. I know he's not overly excited for the Flash movie, but he's still going to watch it. He watches other shows in the DC world that's not Snyder's. Aaron is the same. See, we're a fan of Snyder, but we watch the other things as well. We're not like oh, it's not Zack Snyder, we won't watch it. We're a fan of DC characters. And it's not a stressful job, I don't think, for the directors because we're consumers. I go to the cinema to pay to go see Wonder Woman 1984. I want to be entertained. I want to enjoy myself. And I have a right to talk about the movie. And I have a right to tell Warner Brothers, hey, if you make this movie, I'm going to give you money for it. And that's what happened with the Snyder
Yeah.
Cut, you know? And the Blu-ray sales are pretty high. The digital downloads are pretty high because there was a fan base. There was people that said, we will buy this if you make it, if you put it out there. And it's the same if the Snyderverse was to be restored. But it's not me sitting here saying, oh, I don't like the Suicide Squad because Zack Snyder's not
Making it.
a producer.
Yeah.
He didn't create the movie or stuff like that. I'm looking forward to these movies. Yes, I would love the 5-story arc to happen that Zack Snyder had planned. And it might not happen, but if it doesn't happen, I'm happy enough watching Aquaman 2 with Jason Momoa because it was a Zack Snyder casting, or a Wonder Woman 3 with a new direction, or a Flash movie to see what they do. I'm excited, but I'm also, why can't we have a Justice League 2 when it was probably one of the biggest movies of this year, Justice League on streaming and stuff like that. So look, I'm a Snyder fan, and I understand what you're saying because there's a lot of toxic people out there, and I get shit as well for liking some of the Flash images that are coming out and being excited for the Flash images. I get people coming at me, but I don't really care because at the end of the day, I'm the one paying. I'm the one that's my happiness. I want to watch these movies. So, do you guys have anything to add on that?
I'm with you there, man. I'm a fan of all of it, and I love Zach, and I love his movies, and I I consider myself a huge supporter of Restore the Snyderverse. But the thing is there's always going to be other films that are not set within that universe, whether the Snyderverse continued or not. They were planning on doing the Black Label DC movies years and years ago, with Joker, and now I guess we're getting the sequel to Joker. But they've been planning this for a long time, and whether Zach continued or not, it was always going to be a thing. And I'm happy. I like having a lot to choose from. Like it's never a bad thing to go to the movies a bunch. It's really not.
Yeah.
And if they end up restoring the Snyderverse and putting it on HBO Max, day one I'm there. And you know what I'll do? I'll get up in the morning and watch one of whatever Zach makes, and then I'll go to the theater that evening and see whatever the DCU's got going. Like, it doesn't have to be one way or the other, and you can enjoy both and still be mad at things that happened with WB. It's possible.
Yeah, and also we are
it's-
getting a James Gunn DC movie while he is also making a Marvel movie next. So that is in itself is very very cool, and he said recently that he had talks with DC about doing a possible crossover between Marvel and DC characters in the future, which I'm so glad that at least those talks did happen. This is probably the closest we ever got to that actually happening, because every time it actually was just a fan theory to let it happen, but I never thought that would ever happen because the corporate IP stuff and all that. But he at least had the talks there, so this is kind of positive in that direction. So I don't know, I just think that, okay, so he followed up with maybe not you, but let's not pretend like a lot of Snyder fans are behaving like assholes with these directors. Listen, I think a lot of fans are very passionate, and they take it out on the wrong people the wrong way, and that happens in almost every fandom. Every fandom has toxic people. I can tell you, like, objectively, I can tell you, I know for a fact that hundreds and thousands of people who are Zack Snyder fans don't behave that way, and they are what you encounter online, that is just the loud minority. I know that's a cliche thing to say, but that's true. And even we don't like that, and we do not condone that behavior. So when you say Snyder fans, there are a lot of fans who just like Snyder movies, and they just like James Gunn movies the same. So it's kind of weird to me when people say that Snyder fans just should go away. Why should we go away? Like, we just like one director and their movies, and we also enjoy other movies. So I don't think it's really that big of a deal. If you focus on just, looking for Snyder fans and what they're saying, you'll always find someone saying shit. And that's the same with, every hater that hates James Gunn, or people that hate Marvel, people that hate Star Wars, or, like Zach said, okay, I won't repeat that, but Zach said something similar about Star Wars fans, and Star Wars fans are actually pretty toxic, and you won't even find that bad of a bunch in Snyder fans. So just targeting one side of the fan base, it's never a good thing. I think you should just focus on what's positive and what's good, and that will actually help you.
Yeah, and like a negative comment sticks out like a sore thumb. Like I was listening to a podcast today where this kind of sports psychologist, like negative thinking is actually more powerful than positive thinking, because I think it overtakes it's much stronger. Because if you kept saying negative things out the whole time, like about something bad's gonna happen, it probably will happen to you. And that's what he's done a study on it before. It's like if you see 1,000 good comments about the Flash movie, but you see one person who's saying "F this shit, I want the Snyderverse," that's going to stay with you. It's going to stay in your mind, because it's very out there and stuff like that. But like, I love Quentin Tarantino, but there's a reason why Quentin Tarantino only makes a movie every 4 years. That's what's special about when Quentin Tarantino has a new movie out. Like if every single week there was a Quentin Tarantino movie out, the feel of it would be gone, the energy would be gone. You just wouldn't be excited about it. I love Zack Snyder's DC movies, his comic book movies. But if every single comic book movie came out with a Zack Snyder movie, then what makes a Zack Snyder movie great wouldn't be great anymore.
Exactly.
So we wouldn't get a film like, some people love Ant-Man, but Zack Snyder would never make Ant-Man that way. Some people love Captain Marvel maybe, or the Spider-Man movies. We would never get a movie that way. So like I'm a comic book movie fan. I'm a film fan, and I love seeing these different types of films. I watch indie films all the time on streaming services of directors I never heard of before. And I guarantee you, Zack Snyder or Quentin Tarantino could never make a movie like those people, because they're not those people. So I just think
Zack Snyder would never put Starro in a Justice League movie.
Well, and it's funny because Zach himself has said, like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for the Batman," and I'm interested to see what these people are doing. I mean, he even set up, with the Flash movie, he even set up the whole thing with like the suit changing. He did that on purpose.
Yes.
He gave Barry a experimental suits, and he even said himself, he was like, "Yeah, that's so the next whoever directs the Flash movie can do whatever they want with it. They can make a brand new suit." And
he said
I think that a lot of people
won't be
forget
fair to that director to just create a suit.
Exactly. Zach is all on board with like seeing other people's work, and I'm sure he likes getting a break from things, from stuff sometimes, and getting to see somebody else's take on stuff. So I think people just need to like stop focusing, like you said, on the negative, and it's because negative gets clicks and negative gets attention, and nobody wants to, nobody has fun sitting around a lot of the times reading nice comments. They want to go to the hidden replies on Twitter and look at terrible things. And I think we just need to like focus on stuff, and we can be excited for the Flash and Batman and Suicide Squad, but also love what Zach does in the Snyderverse.
Yeah, that's also basically what Restore the Snyderverse means. Most people, when they say Restore the Snyderverse, they don't mean that put Zach in charge of every movie ever. In the DC, they just mean that also make Zack Snyder movies. They don't mean that cancel Birds of Prey 2 or cancel Aquaman 2 or fire James Gunn and James Wan. Everything should be Snyder directed. That's not what Restore the Snyderverse means. It just means that in addition to these movies, also make Snyder movies. So
yeah, and we're not having a go at the comment from Lion 23 City, because from his or her perspective, they could have been mistreated by somebody who's a diehard Snyder fan and put them down because they're excited for other movies or something like that. So from their perspective, they could have got a lot of negative comments from people like that, and that's understandable about how they think about that. I've had different movies before where someone
know firsthand how exhausting it is, and we are Snyder fans.
Yeah, it is exhausting. Yes,
well, and all it takes is somebody coming on a show like this, and they think that, and then they meet people like how we're talking right now, and we're open and we're talking about everything that we enjoy, and it just takes one good impression to get rid of the bad. I mean,
exactly. And if you come and follow any of us on Twitter, you'll see us talking about Zack Snyder, but you'll also see us talking about Stargirl or Titans or Superman Lois or Jupiter's Legacy, all these different types of superhero content, and movies. So it's not just yeah, it's we're fans at the end of
Yeah.
the day. We just want to watch good stuff. But thanks for the comment.
Yes. And then we can, quickly jump on to today's big topic, which is Supergirl. And we finally have the first look at her costume. Andy Muschietti posted an image, and it's basically just her chest piece with the glyph, and it has the Kryptonian, it's basically like the Kryptonian suit for Man of Steel, and but a female version. So I think that was a cool design of the logo, definitely. But the red, I don't think I quite love it right now. I'll have to see how that looks on camera and in the movie. Because it's just a square piece for right now, right? We don't have a full image. So based on what I see so far, I'm not as intrigued by that red coloring. But I hope it looks great in on camera and on in the movie. But what I'm excited for is her look. We finally have some set pictures that are provided by our very own Ascended Ancient, who actually went to the set and took these pictures. So thank you so much for providing these.
Yeah.
And I really liked watching all these pictures, and we finally get our first look at her costume from afar, and she's definitely wearing pants, which is an immediate yes for me. And I was very adamant for her getting pants because that was very much in line with the Kryptonian suits that we saw in Man of Steel, and also it kind of looked cooler to me, rather than a skirt. So this fan art is what convinced me that her look is pretty amazing. The suit looks amazing, and her hairstyle, she has short hair and natural color, so that is also a plus for me. I really like this. So far I like everything about this, just except that the red color on the top of the chest. I'll have to see that in full to finally make my mind up about that. But apart from that, these set photos are really cool. There are some great Easter eggs in here, like the vehicles and all that stuff are actually in the movie. They have Central City and Gotham City and all that written, all over that. So that's also pretty interesting. Again, thanks to Senate Ancient. Um, and also we have the glyphs here that the with the Kryptonian language on it. um, Mar, you've seen this. You saw this tweet, and what did you think of the look, firstly, and then what do you think about this language?
Yeah, so the look, I was surprised to see it's very similar to kind of Henry Cavill's Batman v Superman 1 in terms of the material and design on that, which gives me some hope that maybe Andy Muschietti is respectful or is a fan of Zack Snyder's work, because the Batman logo one had the blood on it, a very Watchmen-esque reference, stuff like that. So maybe he's a fan of Zack Snyder's. That's what I talked about him knowing that he can't really go too hard against the Snyder previous movies, or he'll face a lot of backlash online, even though Warner Brothers wasn't to. We'll have to see, because we don't know yet. I'm not like 100% excited for the Flash movie, because I need to see a trailer, I need to see what they're doing, if they're being respectful. But look, at the end of the day, if he makes a good, honest Flash movie with these cool characters popping in and out, then I'm going to have a lot of fun with it, of course. But yeah, the design is pretty cool. I'd have to see it in full, but from the set photo as well, it looks like that she has red around her shoulder and chest area. The bright red, and the rest of it's kind of that kind of darker blue. And yeah, from what we've seen on set, it looks pretty cool. But again, will probably go through post production with some effects and coloring and stuff like that, and of course the CGI cape. So yeah, I think that's all going to be awesome. But in terms of the language on the front, in the Batman v Superman suit, there's a Joseph Campbell quote on Henry Cavill's suit in Kryptonian. I can't remember what exactly the quote was, But Zack Snyder put it there, and it's in Kryptonian. And the woman, Dr. Christine Schreier, she created the Kryptonian language for Man of Steel and Zack Snyder's Justice League. She created all this, just the letters and everything, and it was pretty cool how she was able to do this. And she was asked on Twitter, so like, is it the exact same from the Batman v Superman suit? Because people were saying, oh, that Andy Muschietti is using the exact same quote, the exact same design. And then some people were saying, well, it looks a little bit different in places. I'm not too sure if it is. But then she confirmed that it's the same Kryptonian language. So that means it's not creating its own thing. It is the language used for Man of Steel and Zack Snyder's Justice League, but it does mean something different. It's not the exact same quote that's on Henry Cavill's Superman suit. So my question is this Supergirl from an alternate timeline? Is she from the main DCU timeline? Why is there Central City cars and cabs in the same city that Michael Keaton, or maybe it's Bruce Wayne, I don't know about who owns the car, but then Sasha Calle is there. Do they all come into this universe, or has Flash reset everything to now where in this world the Flash exists, Michael Keaton Batman exists, Sasha Calle exists, and in this world we have Wonder Woman also, because she's on one of the buses. So that means in this world there's no Ben Affleck Batman, there's no Henry Cavill Superman. I'm not too sure. I still kind of have a mild prediction that the new Justice League, which I hope doesn't happen, is like Michael Keaton as a mentor towards Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Cyborg maybe, and then Ben Affleck's retired and Henry Cavill's not in this universe anymore. That's the worst case scenario for me. But yeah, I think it's interesting how they're using the same Kryptonian language, and it means something different. So maybe Andy Muschietti will tell us when the press tour happens. But yeah, it's I'm sure the suit will be fine. And I'm getting very Captain Marvel vibes. I know you are as well, KC, especially the hair on Sasha Calle, the short hair. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see what's exactly going on here.
Aaron, what do you think?
I'm definitely intrigued by the fact that they that it looks like it's basically Henry Cavill's Superman suit in this design wise, other than the red and obviously the slight differences in the shield. But I like that. That actually keeps, I was like you, I was worried that they were going to go the skirt route, which I never really liked in the comics or in the panels that I saw. But I love that it's the one-piece suit like Henry Cavill's, which implies that she received it in the same way that Henry's Superman received it, from a Kryptonian ship that produced it, like made it. And maybe each quote that is on the glyphs is unique to each person that wears the suit. Because we do know that, I don't know if it's been established in the universe yet, but Superman chooses the black suit in Justice League, and we see the blue and red in the background. But do we know yet that maybe these suits can actually transform? Maybe they can change. And if that's the case, I think that she might end up being his daughter, his and Lois's daughter, and that he gave her the suit. And the suit has now changed to adapt to a new user. It's almost like an Iron Man suit, but without it's so above the technology level. It's Kryptonian, just how they can build the computers that transform into different people to talk. Maybe this suit is some kind of like intelligence. And now the quote says something that pertains more to her life. But I like the way it looks, and I'm glad there's a full cape too. I love the full cape instead of the half cape.
Yeah.
And I think, I wish they would release a higher resolution photo, because you're going to have people that are coming out of the woodwork now and being like, well, this looks terrible. It's all like there's folds and stuff all in it. It doesn't look like it fits well or something. And I think people forget that, these suits are put on, and just like in the Spider-Man stuff in the MCU, they're put on, and then there's an extra layer of polish that's done to them in post-production. And since it's so far away, we can't really see if there's like the tracking dots for CG on there. But I would assume that they're going to do some post-production to it. And there's color grading and things like that, because I've seen a few people not happy with it from the set photos. But I think we just need to wait and see. And I think once Andy Muschietti releases the other close-ups he's going to do, I think we're going to get a team pick, or maybe not a team pick, but like a group photo of like all of the main characters of this movie at one
Is
time.
is your thinking something similar to what Justice League 17, the kind of Bohemian Rhapsody in the dark? That'd be
Yes,
cool.
that would
Something
be
like that.
that would be incredible. Yeah, do almost like a silhouetted kind of photo of everybody together. I think that would be cool because
Yeah.
I mean we kind of know, we already know 100% what Michael Keaton's Batman suit is going to look like. It's pretty much, we can assume it's the return suit from the way that the six pack looks on it. Whereas in the
Yes.
first '89 Batman film, it's more organic, and then in the second, in Returns, it's like a
Even the
mechanical
logo is kind of
looking.
different.
Yeah, yeah, and it's the Bat logo from Returns. So we kind of know what he's going to look like, and we kind of have an idea already of what the new Flash suit looks like because the concept art was released at
Yeah.
Fandom of the new suit with the way that the electricity goes through the inside of it. It's like a circuit board. Um, but the two things that we're in the dark on are Sasha Calle's Supergirl suit, like the full way it looks, and also, are we getting a new Ben Affleck Batman suit, or is he even going to appear in the suit, or is he just going to be Bruce Wayne? So I think the more information we get on this movie, the more it's going to draw some more people in, and especially me, because I'm big on costumes. I love superhero costumes in media. So yeah, I think it's looking good. I just think we just need more information and like a teaser or something.
I agree. And what do you guys think of the Wonder Woman picture that's on the bus here? And basically it says Central City Children Fund, and it says here Wonder Woman supports CCCF.
Yeah, she kind of, because that's what she is, and she's kind of the face of goodness, and being kind. Even though in Zack Snyder's Justice League in the opening sequence, she fucks some terrorists up big time against the walls and
She's
stuff.
the
So maybe this is where
center
she,
of the Justice League, I think, in Zack's universe because she's the oldest. So maybe that's also why they're,
yeah,
well, apart from her movie being super successful, um, maybe that's why they're doing
yeah,
that.
and also like Batman, you wouldn't have like in this world for advertising or promotion, you wouldn't really have Batman on it because of his past ventures, and Batman v Superman and marking criminals and stuff like that. You wouldn't really have Superman either, maybe because the snapping Zod's neck. So for me, kind of Wonder Woman is probably the best brand, the best face for superheroes to have on something like this. So it kind of makes sense in a way that would use her instead of the other Justice League members.
I like the fact that they're including little things like that, because what we were talking about earlier with Suicide Squad, where you have like you don't beat people over the head with the universe stuff, but little things like that just kind of tell you like, oh, okay, it's a connective tissue to what is going on. So you see a bus in the background with Wonder Woman on it, and you're like, oh, okay, so this is we're in the same kind of realm or whatever. I do wish that they had used a different image actually, because that was a really widely used
That's what I was
promotional
gonna
image
ask
from
next because
the first. Oh,
because
okay.
that looks like
Yeah, the first
something
Wonder Woman.
from our world, not in their world. So just like
Yeah,
Shazam, you have Ben Affleck Super Batman and Henry Cavill Superman's merchandise for some reason. Just like that, you have Wonder Woman's promotional poster on a bus. So, do you think that in that universe, Wonder Woman actually existed, or it's just a franchise in that universe?
I don't know if they go the route of like, if somebody mentions something to Flash, maybe he goes into this alternate universe and they're like, hey, did you see the Wonder Woman movie? And it's like the Wonder Woman movie from like our universe. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about
Yeah,
that, to be honest. Like that's a little too that's a little too meta, maybe.
yeah,
And the toys thing in Shazam, like having the Batman toys and stuff, was cool because it was a different. It didn't really look, for one. It was Conroy's voice when he throws the action figure in Shazam. It was a Kevin Conroy Batman voice. So something like that's fine because I feel like that's not kind of world breaking because you're like, oh, they don't know how the real
yes,
Batman sounds, because why would you? You know what I mean? So that's what like an animated Batman sounds like. But having just a promotional picture from the
yeah,
first Wonder Woman movie on a bus is a little
it
weird.
is.
Um, it may be like one of the situations where, like in the Morbius trailer, where they have uh, Sam Raimi Spider-Man
Yeah,
on the poster. Maybe it's like a placeholder. I'm thinking they used the promotional photo from Wonder Woman, and maybe they'll have a like original art of Wonder Woman done to put on the bus in post production.
probably.
I'm hoping,
But it also could
because
be
it's a little
just a
cheesy.
production design, you know. It could be seen just like an Easter egg and they didn't pay as much attention or thought to this.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Yeah, or maybe we're overthinking it because it's a set photo, and this bus could pass by in the background, and it's like 2 pixels big, and we don't even
Yeah,
like see it. We're
Yeah.
sitting here going, "Oh my god!" Like what is
yeah.
happening? But you never know.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And there's so much cool stuff written
It's
on
very
that
interesting.
because stuff like this would be cool to actually see on screen. I love watching stuff like this in the background, and if it's just a passing bus and all we see is Wonder Woman's photo and not the text clearly, I would kind of be like, oh man, you did all that work for just that. Because it's a cool message, right? Wonder Woman supports children, supporting children's fund, and that's a cool message to show that this universe, as she was in Zack Snyder's Justice League, she's a very inspirational superhero, right? So that will also be interesting to watch.
Yeah, as I said, like she's probably the best, most reliable character you could have on the face of like this. So, but even Lion 23 City goes. There's another pics of cars. One of them says something about
Yes.
Zeus. Others are from news channels. Yeah, that's the ones on the screen now. Yeah, pretty interesting one to have of Zeus here, especially. Um, we've seen Zeus from Zack Snyder's Justice League. So yeah, that's pretty cool. How is it kind of what example would I use? Like, could we see like because the flashpoint is happening? Maybe Flash is being manipulated some way, like a One Division. There's some kind of signs of alternate timelines, like something like this, or you know, of the previous time, or something. I don't know, but I just think I think there's going to be lots of Easter eggs and stuff to
Yeah.
break down in this movie.
Definitely. And also, Zeus is the god of lightning, so it makes sense to
Yes,
have
yes,
it in a Flash movie.
yeah,
But also, it's kind of meta because he's literally Wonder Woman's dad. So, I don't know how that
yeah.
stuff will play out.
Yeah, it could be just a cool Easter egg to have in the background, maybe. And but who knows who? Like rumors of Grant Gustin could appear in this as well. He probably will, since Ezra Miller showed up in the CW.
Yes.
I personally don't know about you guys. I would love to see because I watched the other night the Dead of Superman Lives: What Happened, directed by John Schnepp, who passed away a few years ago, sadly. Of the Tim Burton Nicolas Cage Superman movie that never happened.
I would
I
love
would love to
that.
see. I would love to see him pop up in the Superman because like people doubt that movie and like Tim Burton made 2 great Batman movies and you're going to doubt him. Nicolas Cage was an Oscar winner and was a big star back in the 90s. So I'm sure that movie would have been fine. But to see that even for just a second, see him pop up in the suit to get some sort of kind of closure role, I'd geek out.
I think we're going to get some kind of, at least I would. Maybe it's just me wishful thinking, but I think we're going to get like he's going to get a peek into some other universes, and then he's going to eventually land in the one that the film mainly takes place in. But I could see like a reversal of the thing that happened in the Flash TV show, where we get. We saw it from Grant Gustin's side, where he comes in there and Green Arrow's talking to him and all that. I think we might get the reverse of it. So we see it from our film Barry's perspective. He pops up, says the same exact stuff, but it's filmed differently. And then he leaves and he was like, who the heck was that? Like, and then maybe he shows
Yeah.
up and he sees a Superman with long hair being played by Nicolas Cage in a glowing rainbow suit. And he's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then finally he ends up in this universe that the movie takes place in. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah. I was wondering how they
Yeah.
were going to do the multiverse thing. Would it be like the CW where they show different universes, as in we as Barry go into Tim Burton's universe to meet Michael Keaton's Batman, or will they bring those characters into our universe? So how do you think that's going to play out?
Yeah, I guess what I was talking about because I was surprised to see the Central City cabs and cars and stuff, and then if that um car is Bruce Wayne's, which Bruce Wayne, Keaton or Affleck, and then Sasha Calle is flying around in the same area as Supergirl, uh, like how is she in this world, or maybe Flash is in their world, or is Supergirl the Superman of the Tim Burton world, or was she in her own world, or was she descendant of Christopher Reeve's Superman, something like that? Like that's pretty cool too. Was Nicolas Cage maybe a Superman in the Burton verse in an alternate timeline? I honestly don't know. I don't think Ben Affleck's going to be in the movie that much. I think Michael Keaton will be in it more. So if I was to make a guess right now, I'm going to think that he ends up in the Burtonverse for a good majority of the movie, maybe. I don't know, because there's no real villain for this movie. I don't know.
Doing that would be super expensive production wise though, because Burton's Gotham, which I love, has a very goth looking vibe to it. So you'll have to basically recreate all of that if you are going into that universe.
The good thing with that is that back in '89 when Tim Burton was doing it, they physically had to build
Right.
almost everything, or either that or it was a matte painting. It was either like a physical thing or but nowadays they could go and film on something like The Volume
That's true.
and just have like a CG version of Tim Burton's city going on. But I think with the way that they might go about this is, I think that Sasha Calle's Supergirl is the main DCU. I know I've seen a couple people think that wasn't the case, but I think she's mainstream DCEU, and I think that the Flash interacts with her maybe towards the end of the film and sets her up to get her own movie down the line. He comes back from all this crazy, time travel multiverse stuff, and then he comes back and is greeted by maybe time has passed. Maybe it's like 17 or 18 years past the end of Justice League. Clark and Lois have had their child, and it's Supergirl. And I think there's going to be like a time jump definitely at some point, but I do think the majority of the movie is going to take place in the Burtonverse, and have almost like how Flashpoint was, where Flash is stuck in this universe, and it's up to Keaton's Batman to help him get back home. Which is funny because then I feel like they could name it Flash No Way Home, like Spider-Man No Way Home, and it would still make sense. But as far as the other versions of people we would see, I think that I definitely think that there's going to be some kind of nod to Nicolas Cage Superman, and I think he was the Superman in the Burtonverse. And just have a passing, like Keaton's Batman's walking through, and he picks up a framed picture of him and that version of Superman, and just he glances at it, smiles, and sets it back down. Yeah. I think that would be perfect.
Just as you said that, how cool would it be as like a Watchmen photo with Michael Keaton's Batman and maybe Nicolas Cage, like in a photo, something like that, on a wall with Catwoman or something.
Oh, like you sold me now. If that doesn't happen, I'm going to be disappointed.
That would be good. That would be just you'd be sitting there, you'd be geeking out in the cinema, like, oh my god, that's cool.
Well, see, now I'm going to want a full-on introduction to what's happened in the Burtonverse over the last since the '90s, with a Zack Snyder style intro to it, with music and like slow mo and stuff. That would be incredible.
What's also interesting about this Flash movie is that, like you guys said, Andy doesn't seem to be either retconning or avoiding the Snyder DCEU that happened previously. The VFX artist said that, who is a very close friend of Zack Snyder, he said that Flash is basically the exact same that he was in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and the story continues after that. So that's an interesting thing. That definitely got me more intrigued, because I didn't want this movie to be a retcon of any sorts or a reboot or something like that. So I'm glad that that's probably not going to be the case. We'll just have to wait and see. But Supergirl does look really good to me, and I'm really excited to see her performance. I do think that she is Kara. Maybe they'll do what they did on the Supergirl TV show and just somehow explain that, you know, her universe just combined with our universe or something like that. And, they just had to do that because it was ridiculous to begin with to have her on another Earth, where the crossovers are gonna happen. That whole device to travel to that timeline, all that shit was ridiculous. So I think they'll have to figure out some way to, because I think that her getting her own movie even solidifies that they want her more in the DCEU, and if that's going to happen, I think it's definitely going to be Kara and not someone from the future. So I I do think that the look is very similar to um, the Lana character from the comics. But that's just probably what Andy Muschietti liked and wanted Sasha to look like. Because I'm not gonna lie, that's I think the best Supergirl look I've seen so far. And before this look, I liked the Injustice 2 look. I think that was pretty good. But
I agree with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
but then this was also really good, and I think it's just the design that they took it from that character. I think it's definitely going to be Kara.
The thing that I'm wondering though is, are we going to get to see her do anything, like, because we don't even know who the villain of this film is really. So
Maybe
I'm
Reverse
hoping that maybe we
Flash.
get to see her, like, oh yeah, see, that would be amazing. Because I want to see her do
Yeah,
something in this. Like, I mean, yeah, it's going to be cool even if she just shows up for a minute and talks about something. But like, I do want to see her in maybe in an action scene. I
yes,
think that would be. I want to see the new suit in action. So this, there's a reason we haven't found out who the villain
yeah,
is yet, and I think that's on purpose
I
for
agree.
sure.
Yeah, I could see the villain being maybe like a puppet master, maybe not revealed until the last few moments, not Flash 2, maybe Reverse Flash, similar to kind of how maybe Flash TV series did it in season 1. So, yeah, I think I think while we're watching the movie, the villain of the movie will be kind of Barry Allen himself. you know, he obviously runs fast and it changes the timeline in some way. So I'm wondering what led him to do that. We know that his father is going to be in the movie as well. It's a recast. Unfortunately, Billy Crudup
Oh,
couldn't do it.
that's the
Doing
one
the
thing
morning
that
show,
I'm very
but
disappointed about.
yeah. And I talked about this as well. We could have had a Watchmen crossover. He was Dr. Manhattan. Jeffrey Dean Morgan was the comedian. Patrick Wilson, whose Orm was Night Owl. Oh, so much potential lost. But yeah, it's kind of annoying. But I think Ron Livingston is the actor's name. He's coming in to replace him.
I
Kirstie
do like
Clemens
Ron
is
Livingston.
he was he in Parks and Rec? No.
No, Office Space was his famous
Oh,
thing. I think was his most famous role. But he's
okay.
fantastic. I'm
Yeah,
excited to see him in it. I do like Billy Crudup a lot. And I loved the extra stuff we got to see of them in Zack's Justice League.
yeah,
Uh,
Yeah,
Fleshed it out a lot more.
yeah.
And it's a shame that we won't see him in it anymore. But I do like
yeah,
Ron Livingston. He's really good.
I'm happy that Kirstie Clemens is back as well. I thought she was like, even she was in a
Yes.
small part, but I just thought their connection in such a small, short scene was just breathtaking. So to see them back and interact together now is going to be awesome. So the Flash movie has a lot of potential, and it's hard to know how to feel about it because I don't know what it is yet. So I have to wait for that first trailer. But all this stuff is getting me pretty much excited. So that's not a bad thing.
I agree. And I'm just waiting for that first trailer because I want to see what the tone of this movie is and what the story is, how the how all these characters fit into this story and all that stuff. So yeah, forward to that. And Lion City says, I don't think this movie will have a villain. I feel like it will be more like Back to the Future, an adventure movie with Barry himself being the villain. Well, that's kind of what Sean said, and it makes sense. Why not? You know, But I do think that it will have a villain because there are so many characters in this, and I think the villain will be big because Flash already fought Steppenwolf and the Parademons and all that stuff in Justice League, and he basically saves everyone, saves the whole planet. Um, Maybe it's not that underscored when you don't think about it, but he basically did exactly what Superman did in Man of Steel. He saved the whole planet, and after that, there's only going going down. So
It could be a Scott Pilgrim situation where we have the Flash and then like a negative version of the, not like Reverse Flash, but it's just also Ezra Miller, and he has to stop himself from changing the timeline. I think that would be kind
yeah,
of cool. And getting to
Yeah.
see Ezra interact with like a darker version of himself, I think would be really interesting.
yeah. That's kind of what they did on the TV show as
Whenever,
well.
whenever, whatever Andy Muschietti is going for, it seems to be pretty bold. And this is, it's very hard to make a good movie, but when he has all this up against him of introducing all these characters and maybe fans not knowing what it's going to be like, he has he's put himself under a lot of pressure. But these artists probably perform well under pressure, so looking very intrigued to see what he can do with this because it seems very different than anything we've ever seen before. Even though Spider-Man 3 is coming first and will probably have similarities to this.
If it's anything like the two It films, like in terms of where he could go from 1 minute having like a really heartwarming scene between the main kids in the movie to all of a sudden scaring the bejesus out of
Yeah.
everybody with like horror elements, I think there's potential in this movie to have it be absolutely just off the wall crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. Yeah.
All right, so that's all of the topics for today, and let's wrap this up. I definitely enjoyed today's show a lot, and it's great to have you here, Aaron, and thank you for joining. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, man. Both of you guys. I really enjoyed it. It's a great show.
Yeah, this is probably the first time we actually talked in length, right?
Yeah, definitely it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we follow each other on
Because
Twitter.
we're all so
Yeah.
used to. Yeah, we're all so used to our avatars and tweets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I still maintain that I see Caesar from Planet of the Apes on TV or anything, and I'm like, oh well, I know who that is.
Man, the amount of times I get tagged and stuff, even on Instagram and stuff, it's like, just say for example, TNT could be saying Planet of the Apes is on tonight on the channel at 9 p.m. Someone will tag me in it saying, movies that matter. All I see is you.
To some people, you're Caesar, and then to Zach, you're the guy from Wales.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Welsh Caesar. That'd be interesting for the future Planet of the Apes movies.
Yeah.
But appreciate you coming on, man. And the chat was pretty active tonight, which was awesome. Lion 23 City, Naveen, Ascended, Anna, Fear. Don't want to leave anyone out. There's loads of other people. Jessica was here for a bit as well. And Vesuvius. Great questions, great feedback, great kind of theories in the chat. So Alex was here too. So it's great to have people there watching and interacting with us. That's what we love.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and you can follow us on The Real Talk Live on Twitter and Instagram. We post about everything, every breaking news related to movies, TV shows, and entertainment news as fast as we can. So make sure you turn on the notifications so you get all the updates. We also post you also post our individual clips from the different topics that we have on our shows. On our channel, so make sure you subscribe to our channel and also turn on the notifications for that. You can find me at Krypton Caged on all social media. You can find Maher at Movies.Maher on all social media as well. Where can they find you, Aaron?
They can find me at Aaron Bailey Art on Twitter and Art of Aaron Bailey on Instagram.
Cool.
Go check out his art. Awesome.
I love your art, man. It's always very creative, and sometimes we have some inside Zack Snyder jokes into memes and stuff like that. You create that, and that's awesome.
Yeah. I appreciate it, man. That means a lot. Thank you.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next week. We'll see you on Wednesday, actually, where we can discuss Loki
Yes,
episode 3. Super excited for that one. And yeah, hope no one's turning into a variant.
we'll have a review for the new Kevin Hart movie Fatherhood as well. Dropped yesterday. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet.
All right. You guys, take care.
Take it easy.